In this video, we will talk about data types and variables. We will also perform variable and object declaration, assigning values to them and printing them. So variables are used to store information to be referenced and manipulated in a computer program. They also provide a way of labeling data with a descriptive name, so our programs can be understood and more clearly by the reader and ourselves. It is helpful to think of variables as containers that hold information. Their sole purpose is to label and store data in memory. This can then be used throughout your program. Data types can be seen as type of these variables, example int, char, boolean, etc. There are two categories of data type in Java. The first one is primitive data types and the second one is non-primitive data types. We also call primitive data types as basic data types. It is a categorization of our primitive data types. Basically, there are three basic types. The first one is Boolean, second one is numeric, and the third one is char. As we already know, Boolean can hold only true and false values. Char can hold a single ASCII character. And the third one is numeric, which is further divided in two categories, integer and floating. There are four types of integer data types in Java. The first one is byte, the next one is short, and the third one is int, and the last one is long. And we have two types of floating data types. The first one is float and the second one is double. We can choose any of these data types according to our requirements. These primitive data types holds a fixed amount of memory. Let's see. The byte is 1-bit byte in size and stores whole numbers from -128 to 127. Short is a 2 bytes and stores from -32,768 to 32,767. Int is a 4 bytes and can store much larger range than short, and long is the 8 bytes. In floating types, float can store 6 to 7 decimal digits and it is 4 bytes, and in double it takes 8 bytes to store a double variable and it is sufficient for storing 15 decimal digits. Boolean can only takes true and false values, so it is only 1 bit in size, and character can take a single character of ASCII and it takes 2 bytes to store that character. Next one is non-primitive data types. Non-primitive data types are based on object-oriented programming, that is classes and interface. String is an example of non-primitive data types. Variables in a non-primitive data types are called objects. Objects also has some inbuilt methods associated with the data inside that object. You will notice that syntax of declaring a string variable is different comparing to a primitive data type variable because it is actually an object, therefore it follows the syntax of object declaration. Next, we will see how we can declare a variable or object in Java programming language. Here I have already typed the minimum required code for Java programs. If you want to know more about this, then you can watch our previous video about Hello World in Java. First we will see how we can declare a primitive data type, then we will see how we can declare an object. So I will start with the most commonly used data type, that is integer. So I will type I and T all in small letters, then the name of the variable I will choose my num and then semicolon. Writing the name like this is just a convention. You can choose all the letters in small letters or capital letters. I am writing my variable name like this, so it is my choice. So here here I have declared the variable. Now I need to assign some value to this. So I will type my num is equal to, let's say, 10 semicolon. Next I will type the command to print this value, system.out.println, and then I will pass this variable my num. Then I will press Ctrl plus F5 to run this program. 10, as you can see, the value has been printed here, 10. We can do one more thing here. We can directly assign this value at the time of declaration, and it will give us the same result. Next I will declare float variable. So I will type float here in small letters, and then I will assign some decimal point value to it. Then we need to suffix character f here to represent this number as a floating point value, and then print, run the program. Yes, 10.25, the value has been printed. And for double, we need to provide the suffix t, print, all good. Next is Boolean. So Boolean, I will type Boolean, and then I will rename this as my variable, my var. First I will provide the value true, all in small letters. And then we can also provide false here, false. And the last one is primitive data type is char. It takes one character, let's say J, and then print. We can see that J has been printed. Let's try to give another character, let's say JA, and it will throw an error. It means that it can only take one character in char. So this is how we can declare a primitive data type variable. Next we will see how we can declare a non-primitive data type object. So let's try with string. I will type string. The S should be, for the first letter should be in capital letters, and then I'll say new and string, 2 brackets and semicolon. So it is the syntax of declaring an object. The first one should be the class, the string is the class here, and the next is object name, myvar, and then equal to sign, and next is new is a keyword, and then string, curly brackets, and curly bracket, not curly bracket, it is round brackets, and then semicolon. Sorry, these are not round brackets, these are parentheses. So right now this myvar is an empty string, so we will assign some value to it, Java, and let's see, Java has been printed here. In Visual Studio Code, we can hover to the class name and see the details about that class. As we can see, this string is a class, and we can see the details about this class here. We can see how we can declare an object of this class, and we can see other examples here. So it is very useful to read all these things. You will also find this very similar to this thing, this string square brackets and args. This is also a string declaration, but it is also creating an array of string objects. We will talk about arrays in later sections. So this is all for this video in data type section. In the next video we will see how operators in Java programming works. Thank you.